Welcome back to Politics Tonight. And tonight we focused on INEC and the search for electoral integrity with the Program Manager of Election for Younger Africa, Paul James. Mr. James, Younger Africa wants a review of the Electoral Act to address ambiguities in results collation and transmission process and clarify the role of technology. Can you throw more light on this?
I think this is, for us, following from the outcome of the 2023 general elections, and like I had alluded or mentioned earlier, the inconsistencies we saw in the resource management across several polling units, and also even at most of the collation centers. In some places, you see the returning of, the INEC officers or the returning officers will say, "Oh, go and recount and come back," and all of that. And then also, in some places, to see how these results are uploaded on INEC portal, not in the format or in the manner that you expect, or in some places where this is not even done at all. So what we are advocating for is that we have clear rules, clear guidelines as to how this should be managed. The inconsistencies, like I said, also in how INEC is applying these rules. The Electoral Act is clear in Section 47 about INEC using any electronic means possible to ensure voter accreditation. In the Electoral Act also, if you recall, there is a part about INEC maintaining the electronic copy of the voter register, and even about the results transmission. So it's also around how there are different interpretations to this. Some places they'll say, "Oh no, it doesn't connote that INEC must transmit, but INEC can hold a paper trail or have a backup of this in the cloud or in some place." So what we are saying is, let there be clarity on from the legal angle, from the legal instrument of our election, as to what INEC is required to do at every point, at every phase of the process, to ensure that to ensure that these ambiguities we checkmate these ambiguities, and then we don't have people, INEC staff, INEC officials applying their own discretion around how they understand or how they understand to interpret the INEC guideline or the Electoral Act.
All right. But INEC has promised to upload the results on iREV. Should voters and candidates in these states be excited about this? Considering what happened during the 2023 general election.
Of course, if you think also about how this has helped to build confidence in the process in some of the elections in recent past, especially in the governorship election. What I thought happened for the presidential election was perhaps the INEC needed a bigger structure, a bigger infrastructure to manage the volume of information that came from the field. Perhaps that I thought the commission wasn't ready, because if you recall, for the presidential election, more than 10 days even after the results was announced, the commission was still uploading the polling unit level results on the iREV. But if you think about other state elections that have happened, go back from Edo in 2020, Ondo 2020, the elections that happened in Ekiti and Osun, all of those elections, even Anambra in 2021, on the average, by 10 p.m. on the day of the election, INEC will have uploaded election results from all of the locations on the iREV. So I think voters should have confidence that this is going to work based on what we have seen from the governorship elections of the past, that INEC also will not disappoint. But again, like I said, I think what is most critical, what is most important is public communication around this. Why this came up, it was the fact that I think there was some communication from one of the INEC commissioners that the commission was not going to do electronic transmission, and then there was confusion around what does INEC mean by not doing that. What INEC simply mean by that was the fact that we still do paper trails in our resource management processes, meaning when elections are conducted at the polling unit, when they are concluded at the polling unit level, the INEC officials at that level will complete the Form EC8A for the polling unit level results, and then a snapshot is taken and then it's uploaded on the iREV, meaning you will still have the paper trail that is given to the political party agent, that is also given to security at that level, and then before that is uploaded. So a simple and clear communication, or even having a flow chart, some diagram that INEC will paste in strategic location that communicates how the process is going to play out, how INEC is going to engage the process, I think will have solved all of this unnecessary tension that we saw in recent time in the polity. So we want to give INEC the benefit of the doubt that based on what we have seen in other governorship elections, we thought the Commission did well in managing the upload, that is also going to do the same in the coming elections.
Right, so INEC has also expressed concern over insecurity ahead of these elections. What do you think can be done to improve security in the states?
Well, I think this is also very concerning, especially if we think about the state in the southeast and also what some of the threats that we're beginning to see in Kogi state. Very concerning, because if the election is happening in that kind of atmosphere, it's going to affect voter participation in the election. One of the things that we are beginning to see in our recent election is that, to some extent, insecurity is beginning to be weaponized in our election, and sometimes we feel like the merchants of this insecurity are very deliberate about it, because you will see or hear so much around or about these insecurities in the build-up to the election, but when election day comes, you don't see or get to hear much about it. And again, if this is happening in the build-up and the voter will have made up their mind that based on what they are seeing, they are not going to engage, of course, it then affects, like I said, the participation of that voter. But what is also very concerning is the uncertainty around whether election will even happen in some location based on what we are already noticing or we are already seeing. In a state like Imo, as we speak, the INEC office in Osu local government has been temporarily relocated to the state headquarters. I don't know whether they have returned to the local government, but as of the 15th of September, when I was in the state, I knew they were operating in the state headquarters. That was also where they facilitated PVC collection for voters from those local government. Now, there is even confusion whether or not election will happen in the local government, based on the fact that now INEC is also operating in the headquarters. Two, for us even as observers, we were unable to even go to the local government to even recruit observers for the election. As we speak, there are about other 4 or 5 local governments that some of part of the local government are not accessible. We have places like Oru East, Oru West, some location in those places, some locations in Okigwe, in Imo, some location in Orlu local government also, that as we speak, up to this moment, we are even yet to get observers because of the fear of security, or also the fact that some voters the uncertainty around security in those neighborhoods and what might happen on election day. So what we expect is, on the part of the security agencies, that assurance that they are going to protect lives and property for the election, that assurance that come election, the voters will be able to go and participate in the process peacefully. But more importantly also, early engagement also on the part of the security, seamless communication also from the security. What you see most times is that until the week of the election, before you begin to see security around, you see more deployment of security, and they begin to do what they call show of force. And I expect most time that this show of force will also have been done earlier, so that it will, sort of provide assurance to the people that the security is ready, and for anybody that will, any bad element that will want to do whatever is untoward around the election, perhaps that will also serve as a warning sign for them that the security will be ready to deal mercilessly with whoever is going to disrupt the process. I think that is very critical. That is very important. For a state like Bayelsa, what is concerning in the state also is the fact, like I had mentioned, there is this saying that he who controls the water has the election. Now, if these waters are in the control of the bad elements, I don't know yet, but then you also need the assurance from the security that they are on top of issues in the local government, because what we saw in 2019, for instance, was not very encouraging. For us as observers, we even at some point had to send support from Yenagoa to go and rescue some of our observers in the field that were stuck in one of the community. So INEC officials in 2019, like I said, were kidnapped. Election materials were hijacked. You don't want to begin to continue to see a repeat of that in our election. It erodes public confidence, even on the part of the people that are administering the election or managing the election. If they don't feel safe enough to go and engage the process, it's also going to affect their performance on the election. So we expect this clear communication on the part of the security around what they are doing, one, to ensure safety, what they are doing also to ensure that, voters will be able to go out on the election day to engage, even before the election. That, you have to have a secure environment before people are able to go out and engage.
All right. So let's talk about another major challenge in our electoral process, which is vote buying and selling. Like others would say, vote trading. How do we tame this monster?
Well, I think it depends also on how you want to look at it. Some persons will tell you that we're having that now as a conversation in our election. It's a pointer that our elections are getting better, because in the past, past history of our elections will still be ongoing and you hear results have been announced. But now we're in an era where you even have to go and look for the voter and begin to induce the voter to go and engage. But these are happening sometimes, to be honest, from the point of ignorance. The voters didn't even know that there is even a penalty for engaging in that. The Electoral Act is very clear. Any person that engages in either buying or selling vote, there is penalty of 500,000 or a fine of 500,000, and I think imprisonment of about 12 months. Maybe what has been lacking for me, I would say, is sanction in this process. It's sanction most times, because they happen in public glare, like we are saying in the past, and sometimes they happen right in the presence of security agents, and they don't apprehend anybody, they don't do anything. Now, what we see also in the build-up to the election is that this vote buying takes different shape. What is already happening in some of the states is, for instance, we are seeing people collecting some information of voters, PVCs, permanent voters card. We had reports in local government in Imo State about people collecting PVC codes from voters and giving them 10,000 naira. That is very sad that this is happening. And then, like I said, there is also public information about this is happening. We want to begin to see enforcements of sanctions. We want to begin to see that people, especially the sponsors of this, are named and shamed. Maybe it will help to reduce that in our election.
All right. So quickly, in 30 seconds, what role can civil society play in helping Nigeria achieve electoral integrity?
I think the best that the civil society can do within the remit of what they are, what the law permits and what resources permit, they are doing it. As civil society, to most times, they provide public education about how voters should go and engage. Sometimes the limiting factors for the civil society is around resources also to do that. But what we always emphasize is that voter education, voter information, civic education is not rocket science. You had provided a platform for me this evening that I'm able to speak to Nigerians or the people of the state about their elections. So as much as we are getting this opportunity, this forum, and we are dishing out information, for me, we will help to educate the public about their rights, help to educate public about how they will engage. But I think to some extent, the civil society is trying. What we have seen that is worrying in some quarters is that some of these engagements are episodic. They are done only around or close to the election period. But this should be a continuous engagement. Wherever we have the opportunity, we continue to speak.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul James, Program Manager of Election for Yaga Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight and sharing your wealth of expertise with us tonight. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate that. Thank you so much.